Good afternoon, grinders. Welcome to your MLB SimLabs analysis for Friday, August 8th. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka BlenderHD, BlenderHD. If you want to follow me on Twitter, hit that thumbs up button on your way in the door and hit that subscribe button if you're new here. Hit the notification bell if you always want to know when we go live. We got Grinders Live later today, 5 p.m. Eastern, followed by Crunch Time, which is hosted by Kevin Roth, our meteorologist. And I don't think we have anything necessarily really to worry about today. Kind of a clear day in baseball. They're going to be playing some baseball today. Shouldn't be any late starts, any delays. That's what it seems like. We got 2 greens here. Everything else looks clear. We got a large slate today. 14 games. That's a big one for a Friday. 14 games. And the theme of the slate is that, it's not like, I don't want to say there's no offense on today's slate. I mean, there's obviously going to be offense. 14 games, but there's not there's a lot of low team totals today, and that's because like half the pitchers on today's slate are pretty damn good, right? We have a lot of pitchers to choose from, and probably also a lot of stacks to choose from because the difference between the top teams, the premier teams, and like middling teams is not all that dramatic. Like we have Arizona with the highest team total on today's slate, 5.55 implied. And that's the only one over 5. The Athletics and the Orioles both have 5 implied team totals. But then we got the Tigers at 4.83. We got Cleveland, 4.56. Minnesota, 4.5. Cubs, 4.65. San Diego, 4.49. The Dodgers, 4.76. The Giants, 4.72. Not like they're not insane team totals. And a lot of the teams that do have like 4 to 4.5 team totals are pretty damn cheap. Like you could stack them pretty affordably. So I'm not necessarily sure how much you need to like overpay for hitting today. And that's good because we got a lot of good pitching options. The number one pitcher on the slate by far, he's the most expensive pitcher, 11.6K, is Tariq Skubal against the Angels. He has an 8.5 strikeout prop, minus 150. His mean projection, we currently have 7 points clear of every pitcher on today's slate. So we have his mean projection close to 26 fantasy points. And the next highest pitcher is Hunter Brown at 10K, and he's at about 19. Okay, 7-point difference, which also means he's going to be probably the most owned pitcher on today's slate. We have his ownership at 30%, but we actually have his optimal rate at 39.7%. So if he actually is 30% owned, that's under owned, because there's a lot of pitchers in between like 14 and 17 fantasy point mean projection pitcher. Like half the slate pretty much. Because after Tariq Skubal, you get Hunter Brown at 18.97. His optimal rate is about 15%. Like no one comes close to Skubal's optimal rate of almost 40%. Right? Then it just drops down into this like 15% range. Then some are like 7, 8, 9%. But you got Hunter Brown, 10.0K. You got Sanchez at 9,800 against the Rangers. Okay. Then you got Pivetta, 9,500 against Boston. And then you got some cheaper options like Tanner Bybee, 7,600 against the White Sox. Zach Gallen, 8K against the Rockies. But then you also have guys like Matthew Boyd, 8,800 against the Cardinals. Edward Cabrera, 8,200 against Atlanta. You have Joe Ryan at 9,100 against the Royals. Luis Castillo, 8,100 against Tampa Bay. You have Seth Lugo, 8,300 against Minnesota. Kodai Senga, 8,900 against Milwaukee. Drew Rasmussen, 7,900 against Seattle. You got Max Scherzer, 7,700 in a pretty bad matchup against the Dodgers. You got Merrill Kelly, 8,600 against the Phillies. Like some of these are not the greatest of matchups. You also have like Brandon Woodruff at 10.3K against the Mets. He has a 17.6 point mean projection. Which is a little bit lower than some of the other pitchers for that price. He's not going to be that owned. We have his pitch count at 88, so not as necessarily the higher ceiling compared to some of the other options. But I think that the chalk combination today is going to be Skubal plus Bybee, Skubal plus Gallen. And then everyone else is going to kind of be spread out because we have the ownership on Skubal, like I said before, about 30%. Bybee about 26%, Gallen about 25%. And then like Hunter Brown, 17, Sanchez, 12, Pivetta, 12. Then everyone else is kind of like in the single digits. But these projections are very close to one another. So if you prefer like Edward Cabrera over Zach Gallen, I think that's perfectly fine. And we see here on SimLabs that Zach Gallen currently is the most over-owned pitcher on today's slate. Woodruff, pretty over-owned also. Then like Pivetta, Bybee is around. I mean, it really depends on how many people you think are going to play Bybee versus Gallen. If you think more people are going to be playing Bybee, then Gallen's ownership goes down. You think Gallen's going to be more owned, then Bybee's ownership goes down. I think everyone else is pretty much like if you play any other pitcher other than those three, I don't think you necessarily have to worry about ownership. I mean, they're going to come in the teens. If I don't think any of the other pitchers are going to come like 20% owned. It's going to be spread out a lot. And then from a stacks perspective, we see here in our stacks tool at RotoGrinders, pretty flat at the top. Arizona has the highest implied team total against Austin Gomber, 10% optimal rate. They're not the cheapest of stacks. But then we got like stacks like Cleveland, who are pretty cheap. You go to Cleveland's lineup, and you could stack Cleveland. Like Cleveland have one of the higher team totals on today's slate. And outside of Jose Ramirez, they're free. I mean, Kwan's 4,100, I guess, but I mean, Schneemann is 3,100, Manzardo is 3,700, Bo Naylor is 2,600, Arias is 2,400. I mean, the bottom of the lineup. I mean, their lineup isn't all that great, but they're pretty cheap, and at least they have an over a 4 team total against Aaron Savale. So they're up there as far as optimal percentage at 9%. Then you got Detroit, but Detroit is a lot more expensive. Detroit is a 4.83 implied team total. They're 8.5% chance of being optimal. The Cubs are a little bit cheaper, 7% chance of being optimal. Then we have the Athletics, who are about as expensive as the Tigers, 6.8% chance of being optimal. Houston, 6.47% chance of being optimal. Then we got like teams like Miami. Like Miami has more chance of being optimal than the Dodgers today. Miami has a 4.19 implied team total, which is more than they would normally have. And you take a look at like this Marlins lineup. Let's go to it. Marlins lineup is pretty free also. Let's see. Where's the Marlins? The Marlins. They're somewhere here. I missed them. Well, okay, here we go. Right outside of Stowers, like everyone's cheap. Augustin Ramirez, Liam Hicks, Otto Lopez. Bottom of the lineup kind of sucks. Heriberto Hernandez is 2,800. I mean, are they a good team? No, but they're a cheap team. And if you're going to place a lineup like Skubal, like if you're not going to pay down at SB2, if you want to play a lineup like Skubal, Hunter Brown, you're going to have to play one of these types of teams. The Guardians, the Marlins. What other teams are here? Like Minnesota against Lugo. I mean, not the greatest of matchups. 3.6% chance of being optimal. But Minnesota has a 4.5 implied team total today. So we go to the Twins. I mean, the Twins are pretty free also, right? Rodon's 2,300. Wallner is 3,500. Jeffers is 3,800. Cody Clemens, 3,700. Keishel, 2,900. Royce Lewis, 3,200. I mean, it's really easy to get the Twins today. And 4.5 team total is nothing to scoff at in today's slate when half the teams don't even have that, right? I mean, they have a higher team total than I think the Dodgers, not as high. The Dodgers are quarter run, 0.25 higher. And some of these, like obviously not Arizona, but like Detroit, there's not that much difference between a lot of these teams from an implied run total perspective. But the prices are going to be different. Like the Cubs today, Cubs 4.65 implied team total, but I mean Tucker's 5,900, Pete Crow Armstrong is 5,500. They have cheap pieces, but Michael Bush is 4,700. It's going to be pretty tough to get a good Cubs stack while still playing Schoolball at 11.6K. Doesn't mean you have to, but let's take a look at what SimLabs says right as of right now. Run 150 lineups, small field, medium result range, 5-man stacks. Let's see what we get more or less of. I'm going to assume that we're going to get a lot of Schoolball and a lot of these like value-based stacks. Like Miami, like Minnesota, like what was the other one? Like Cleveland. I think we're just getting a lot of. I think like the guys from Detroit and Chicago and at the Athletics, more as 2-mans, 1-mans, that type of stuff. Okay, so let's take a look at exposures. And yeah, a hell of a lot of Schoolball, right? So you can see here, a lot of Schoolball. Then compared from the difference between Bybee and Gallen is pretty dramatic. Because like I said before, Gallen right now is the most over-owned pitcher, so we're going to get less of him. We'll get a lot of Schoolball, Sanchez, Bybee, Hunter Brown, Nick Pivetta, and then it kind of just drops off from there. And then from a stacks perspective, get a lot of Dodgers. Okay. Dodgers, but I mean, like you're going to have to play like the bottom of the order for the Dodgers for the most part. Although we do have some punts here. Because you play Dalton rushing, right? You play Schoolball, Bybee. Like this type of lineup is playable. Davis Schneider is leading off. You play Ohtani, Hernandez, Max Muncy, Freddie Freeman, Dalton rushing. But you still have to punt at second base, with Ramon Urias, Gabriel Arias. Is it doable? Sure, it's doable. Here's one with the Blue Jays, right? So 5-man Dodgers, 3-man Blue Jays. But you got to play like Miles Straw in the lineup also. It's another Dodgers lineup. Here's a Marlins lineup because you can see here number 2 team, Marlins, 3 Cubs, then Guardians. Twins, you're getting a little of, but not as much as I would think. And then you get the Diamondbacks. It seems like maybe are the Dodgers going overlooked, quote unquote, today? Maybe. Right? Ohtani, we have Ohtani at sub 10% ownership, right? But he's 6,600. But as you can see here, you can fit these lineups in. There's some more Marlins lineups, right? If you want to do this is the type of lineup using the Marlins is where your one-offs actually are in punts. You play Gallen and Bybee together, no Schoolball. You play the Marlins stack, but then now you can play Ketel Marte at 6K. Corbin Carroll at 6,300 and Kyle Tucker at 5,900. You can do something like that. The Dodger stack, you really can't. Here's a Cubs stack with Schoolball, Bybee. You're kind of playing the bottom of the order because you're playing Matt Shaw, you're playing Reese McGuire. And you're still playing like some Orioles in here with Gunnar Henderson. This isn't bad, right? Cubs, Orioles, 5-3. Here's some Twins in a Dodgers lineup. Here's another Dodgers lineup. Here's an Astros lineup, an Astros-A's lineup. Because the Astros are pretty cheap also. But then you're playing Rooker, Soderstrom, and Nick Kurtz. Pivetta, Bybee lineup. There's another Schoolball, Bybee, LA lineup. Here's an A's stack with the Guardians. Schoolball, Lugo. These all rate out. You can see how different a lot of these lineups are. These all rate out about the same, and they've all different combinations, different stacks, different pitchers. To me, this is the type of slate that if you wanted to play 20 lineups today's a good day to play 20 lineups. To narrow it down to what I would prefer to play is gonna be pretty damn tough. Pretty damn tough. Right, because all different configurations and different pitchers. Hunter Brown, Tanner Bybee, Dodgers. I think that the clear leader in the clubhouse right now is the Dodgers. Here's a Cubs lineup. Here's a Dodgers lineup. Dodgers, Marlins stack. I mean, you can see here. Vomit stack of the day, I think, is Marlins. I think more so than the Guardians. The Guardians may actually be higher owned. Yeah, I suspect the Guardians will be higher owned today. And you can see even with these Guardians stacked, like let's take a look. What do these Guardian stacks look like? You can click on the Guardians only. And I mean, we're not even playing. I mean, is Jose okay? Here's Jose Ramirez in the lineup. I mean, he's the most expensive player, 6,400. Like, what do you have to do in order to fit in a Jose Ramirez led Guardian stack? Even though the rest of the Guardians are pretty cheap. Scooble Ginn paying all the way down at 6,300. I mean, for 82 pitches against Baltimore, I mean, I guess you could do worse, but I don't know. I'm probably not going there. But here, you could play the White Sox today. You stack the game. You play Scooble Brown, and then you play the Guardians and the White Sox. Hey, funnier things have happened, but this rates out pretty well. If you want to play both of those pitchers. Here's Scooble Gallen, Guardians lineup. You play Dalen Lyle at 2,800, Jackson Merrill, Dylan Dingler. Some more Guardians lineups. Now you could play. I mean, you could play Scooble in these lineups. Here's an Ohtani. Here's one with you're able to play Scooble and Ohtani as a one-off, and pay up for Christopher Sanchez at 9,800. But it requires you to, play Royce Lewis as a one-off, and you're playing Nolan Jones and CJ Kafis as part of your Guardian stack. There are a lot of players today that are sub 3K that are absolutely playable. You just got to hope for the best for some of these stacks. So I can go to the settings section. And this is what I do on the phone. I mean, you could use SimLabs on your mobile device. We have a SimLabs app. You sign into your RotoGrinders account, and pretty much all the features that are available via desktop are available on mobile. And I will choose. I will say, okay, I want to take a look at just Scooble lineups. I want to exclude JT Ginn, right? I'm getting too much him looking at SimLabs. So I want to exclude those JT Ginn lineups, right? I want to see what Scooble Edward Cabrera lineups look like, right? We have Cheese's Goods $1 Million Musings. He's a little bit higher on Sanchez and Cabrera today. So what do those lineups look like? So let's say I wanted to do that. Let's say I want to just look at Sanchez Cabrera lineups. So what stacks do I get with this? Like let me do 20 lineups, 5-man stacks. So what do these lineups look like? And let SimLabs create the highest EV lineups based on our simulations for you that have those configurations. If you're playing a small field contest. So here, the highest rated lineup is an A stack. A stack, here's an Astro stack, and let's say here you go. Here's a Dodger stack. So if you wanted to play a Sanchez Cabrera lineup, and then you're essentially punting with Fiducia and 2 Marlins, including Troy Johnston, and then you're playing this Ohtani, Betts, Muncy, Conforto, Freeman, fairly expensive Dodger stack. This would be one of the higher rated lineups with this configuration. And you could do it the other way also, being like, okay, I want to play just pick a team. I want to play the Cubs today. Okay, I want to play the Tigers today. What do Tigers lineups look like? What do Arizona has the highest implied team total. So what do Arizona lineups look like? Right, and let's say if I'm going to play Arizona, I want to make sure to play Ketel Marte at second base. Right, so I lock in Ketel Marte, I lock in Arizona, hit get lineups, and let's see what these lineups look like. Can I play Scooble in these lineups? You could even lock in that. You could say, okay, I want to play a Scooble lineup with Marte, Arizona stack. What SimLabs? You'll tell me what the best configuration of players is. Right? Here we go. Scooble, Sanchez. Then it's Marte, Alexander, Locklear, McCann, Thomas. So kind of a wraparound bottom of the order-ish. And then Tovar, Hernandez, Mickey Moniak. This simulates the best out of this configuration. 87 SimLabs rating. But here's another one. Here's Sanchez, Bybee. So there's a non-Scooble lineup. You get Carroll and Gurriel because now you get a much better Diamondback stack. And you still play Schneerman and Story as a one-off. Bo Naylor is a one-off. I mean, this is a pretty good lineup also. Right here, this would be a Scooble lineup. This would be a non-Scooble lineup. There's another Scooble lineup with Kyle Tucker as a one-off. And you're playing 2 Marlins with your Diamondbacks. Not playing Corbin Carroll, but you're getting Lourdes Gurriel in there. This rates out well. There's another one that rates out well. Got a punt with Michael Taylor, but Hunter Brown and JT Ginn. Well, this is one you have to pay all the way down to pitcher. Right? So you could use SimLabs just like this. What do you want to play? I mean, you can use it for research beforehand and go, okay, what shows up more than less? Who's over-owned? Who's under-owned? And then you can put in, it's like, okay, I'm playing 3 lineups today. I want to play a Scooble lineup. I want to play a non-Scooble lineup. I want to play a Cubs stack. I want to play a Tiger stack, and put in the configuration and let SimLabs fill out the rest. And you go, okay, for these types of contests that you're playing, small field, large field, single entry, these are the ones that rate out the best according to 10,000 plus simulations of the contests. And this gets updated multiple times throughout the day, especially during Grinders Live and Crunch Time as starting lineups come in, weather conditions change, whatever, ownership changes. You get this as part of the Combo Light package and the Combo Pro package. Combo Light is, probably the best value for money. Get SimLabs for MLB, NBA, NFL, which is coming back, which includes all the showdown slates. So it's not just main slate NFL. It's all the NFL slates. PGA also. You get our research tools like Plate IQ, Court IQ, Gridiron IQ for football, right? That's back. Weather Edge, and all of our comprehensive tools, articles, rankings, all of our premium content, which, like I said before, includes Cheese's Goods' $1 million musings. He writes about every weekday baseball slate. Best value for money is the Combo Light package. So click on the link in the description for more information about that. But you know what's free? Hitting that like button. So give me those thumbs on your way out the door, and make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Grinders Live, 5 p.m. Eastern tonight, followed by Crunch Time. And I'll be back next week for another edition of MLB SimLabs analysis on RotoGrinders.com.